Okay, so last night I went to see Cold Storage. This is actually a pretty decent film. But I feel like most films now, I feel like the comedy's kind of got a handbrake on it. I don't know, it just feels like whenever I go to watch a comedy movie now in the cinema, it feels like someone's holding it back. I felt the same thing with Anaconda that recently came out. Like there's the two people in it, like Paul Rudd and Jack Black, could have made that film so much better. I feel like they were sort of reined in a little bit. But anyway, if we look to Cold Storage now, this is a film, it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse type of film in a way, sort of pre-apocalypse. So in the 70s, there was a space station in space that they were doing like scientific experiments on, and it came crashing down, and part of it landed in Australia, and this fungus kind of evolved inside the space thing over a few years, and then it became like a cordyceps. If you've seen The Last of Us, it becomes like those cordyceps that can take over people and turn them into sort of like mindless zombie things, and they'll do the bidding of the fungus so the fungus can like procreate and spread its spores. So it's a similar idea to that. Now, when it breaks out in Australia, obviously it wipes out a whole town, and Liam Neeson comes in with his little team of people, and they try and like put an end to it. They see how bad this virus can be when a doctor gets infected, and then they decide they've got to destroy everything in the area, like nuke basically the area, and then they take a sample of the fungus and bury it deep down in America, deep down in this like military institution thing, so no one will ever find it. They've got a whole cooling system on it. Fast forward 18 years from that, and sadly the cooling system fails, and because of like humidity and like the warmth and temperature and all that sort of stuff, the fungus starts to thrive and evolves fast and moves. This movie's kind of sense of humour is very similar to Evolution, that film with David Duchovny from sort of the early 2000s, which is a brilliant film. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you check out the film Evolution. It's very similar in ways to that, where it's that same sort of like mixture of comedy and horror, but this film goes a little bit more horror and a little bit less comedy, I feel. So then we've got this sort of like the military sell their base and a storage unit buys the location, and you've got a storage unit on top. So that's where the rest of our film takes place, within this storage unit. So we've got two people working their security. You've got Joe, I think it's Kaylee, who's Steve in Stranger Things, who does a good job in this, because obviously being in such a massive show, you'd expect to keep thinking, oh, that's Steve. But he does a really clever thing. He basically dyes his hair blonde to try and stop you, I guess, seeing Steve as you're watching this. I mean, the character he's playing, he's a bit different to Steve. He's a bit more silly sort of character, but it's a clever thing that he did by dyeing his hair to try and distinguish the two characters. He's also teamed up in this film with Georgina, I've got her name written down somewhere, Campbell, who was the main girl from Barbarian, if you've seen that movie. And together, these two have a great chemistry together. I'd like to see them work together a little bit more. There's something like likeable at both of them. And this film does a really good thing of making you care about these characters. They give you a bit of like dialogue between the two before it all goes crazy. They literally let you get to know these characters well, and you find a little bit of backstory, and they talk to each other because they're just sort of meeting for the first time. They're sort of both, or what, she's new to the job and he's sort of like worked there for a while, so they sort of manage to sort of talk to each other, and it's a real good friendship. They sort of bond together. And it's really good. So a lot of films nowadays, they sort of start and throw you straight into the horror, and you don't care about the people that are in threat or in danger. You care about these two people. They do a good job. So the two actors do a great job of making you care. So the cooling system fails in this storage unit, which unleashes the fungus that's been dominant downstairs, or been held back by the cold temperatures. Obviously, when the cooling system fails, warmth, water, fungus goes mad. And midway through the film, they kind of show you how it gets outside, because they actually managed to find a way out. I assumed it would be like they go in, they open it up, and it's, oh my gosh. But they do go down and open it up, and they shut it back up again. But you find out that something gets out another way and starts to infect people that are coming to the storage unit, whether it be like customers or people that have something to do with the people that work in the store. And of course, they get taken over by the cordyceps, and they do a really good job in this film as well of showing how the cordyceps work. So you sort of see like the spores of whatever it is go into the victims, and then you see it sort of travel up to their brain, and then you hear it whispering like, 5 more people, 5 more people, 5 more people. And that leads the sort of person to sort of like zombie, almost zombie like, go looking for them, but they're still very much animated as human beings would be. They're not like most zombies. They're kind of like, they're still talking to people and trying to interact, but they're trying to get close to someone so they can pass on this fungus or these spores. And I thought that was a great thing as well, because it's almost like they're sentient zombies. Because they're trying to work things out. They're trying to, like, there's one scene where the zombies sort of stuck behind a door. And the blokes are looking for them. They're like, let us out. And the bloke's like, well, I can't. You've got the key. And then the key gets slidden under the door. And he's like, oh, okay. And he lets them out. And you're like, what? Like, it's a sentient zombie. So the idea is that they're still doing what zombies do, or zombie-esque sort of creatures would do. But they're sort of intelligent as well. And I like that. I liked that thing, because normally zombies aren't intelligent. This was great, the fact they've done this. I will say, CGI everywhere. This is a CGI heavy movie when it comes to the effects. There's not really any practical effects. It is mostly CGI. But then people are exploding, and there's like animals and things that kind of getting infected as well at some points. So to do that practical would have been hard, but I do still appreciate when they try and do practical. There's some makeup effects in it, like a couple of the zombie people. You can see they've got a bit of prosthetics on, but it's very, very, when it comes to all the gore effects and the blood and things exploding, because things explode a lot in this movie. There is quite a lot of gore in this movie, because when the cordyceps infect you, they swell you up and make you explode, so you can spread the, like, what they call it, I've been saying it all bloody video, spread the spores out everywhere. So there's one scene where you see a deer explode and the antlers go shooting like through into this wall and stuff like that. And then you see what's left over, and it's this big puddle of goo and rib bones and all kinds of stuff. It is pretty gross. And at one point you even see a rat king, which also harks back to sort of the old days of the bubonic plague. But also, if you played the Stranger Things computer game, they have a rat king in that at one point. So it's sort of like going, not Stranger Things, Last of Us computer game. It harkens back to that a little bit. But this is generally a decent little film. But I do feel like when you get a comedy horror, you kind of need like a comedy and horror about there. This film goes more for the horror there, and the comedy kind of loses a bit. But there are so many opportunities where they could have made it funny. Like the guy that plays, his name's TK. It's the Steve from Stranger Things. His reactions are brilliant, but I feel like it's kind of like he's holding back with some of the reactions he does. Because when stuff's happening, he's like, wow, I think if he was a bit more zany, it would have come off more. I think you need a bit more craziness. This film knows it's a silly comedy. It knows it's a silly movie. But it should have pushed that silliness that little bit more, and it would have been a lot better. But it's still a pretty decent watch. I mean, I sat there, I laughed, I thought it was funny. There's a few good jump scares, especially near the start. There's some really good jump scares in this as well. But it is essentially, it knows what it is. It knows it's a silly comedy. And I wish they sort of thought, Joe, we know we're a silly comedy. Let's just go mental with it and go really silly. But they kind of restrained back. And there are some really good characters in this that could have potentially been a lot more. Like, at one point, the store gets like raided because someone's going to try and steal from the storage units. They sort of come in to steal. And that sort of gives you more zombies, more victims, etc. But definitely a great one. Definitely a great little movie. This isn't a movie you go watch it. I mean, I saw it at the cinema. This is more of a movie you sit down at home on the telly and you can kind of like switch off a little bit as you're watching it, but at the same time enjoy it. It's one of those. It's like a Netflix film. Now they say that Netflix are making these movies so people can sit on their phones while they're watching a movie. It's kind of like one of those where the plot keeps getting told to you over and over again. Liam Neeson is good in this film as well. He plays the general that kind of sorted out last time, and he comes back when he finds out that the cooling system's failed, because he's kind of been preparing for this for a while. He knows it's going to happen, and he comes back to try and like help the people in the store. And he's got a plan to sort of like get rid of this fungal virus. But the government are still trying to stop him a little bit. They're kind of like saying, oh no, it's not that bad. It's that classic end of the world film where you always get the government guys go, no, don't worry about it. It'll be absolutely fine. You've got that guy that knows, like trying to tell him, like almost wanting to bang his head against a brick wall. Like, no, this is going to happen. It's like that sort of character. But Liam Neeson, he's really good in films where everything mad's going on around him, but he still plays that straight guy. Like, obviously, he did the Naked Gun film recently, but he's done it in other things as well. I mean, whatever he does when he does comedy, he stays the straight man, and it works really well. I mean, if you ever see that, Extras with Ricky Gervais, and he gets him to sit down and do this improv comedy, that is so funny. If you haven't got to see it, go on YouTube and try and type in Extras, Liam Neeson. That scene is hilarious. It might not have been Extras, it might have been that one with Warwick Davis. It was one of those Ricky Gervais TV shows. Liam Neeson is phenomenal in it, trying to like branch into comedy. The whole scene is genius. But that's what Liam Neeson does well. And he does it again in this movie where he's like the straight man trying to stop everything going on, and there's all this crazy stuff going on around him, and he's just like, oh. Like, it's that sort of action. It's really good. But I said there's a lot of good gory stuff in it. So if you're a fan of the gore stuff, you might enjoy this one. It's not like Terrifier level, to explain it, I know the level of gore, I'm probably saying like Walking Deadish, but more ridiculous, if that makes sense. So the sort of level of Walking Dead gore you get with like faces like exploding and burnt off, and or like body parts and that. It's that sort of gore. So it's more than your average goriness, but not Terrifier. Terrifier is now my top. I watched that film and I actually, for the first time in a long time, I kind of felt a bit queasy when watching a movie. So it's not that much. It's kind of down a bit more with the gore, but it's silly gore because it's CGI gore as well. So that's silly gore. But anyway, guys, I hope I've kind of like led you into what you'll be expecting when you see Cold Storage. I've not done any spoilers in this video. I might do a spoiler video in the future, but right now I'm trying to keep it into a non-spoiler. But I will say, like, the ending's good. I think problem I've had with movies is they always leave wide open endings now. You never get a movie that finishes to me anymore. There's always kind of a wide open ending. This movie, you kind of get a resolution. So if you like me, that like movies that actually resolve themselves, and you feel like you've got to the end of something, this will be a good movie for you. There is a little bit that kind of goes like, oh, but that's more of a jump scare funny thing towards the end. But like they do, it's like a completed story, and I love that. It's so rare now in movies to have a completed story. But anyway, guys, when you go see this movie, let me know what you think. If you have seen the movie, tell me what you thought about it yourselves. Would you like me? It's entertaining. That's all I can say. It's entertaining. Not the best thing in the world, but very entertaining, and I enjoyed it. Anyway, so let me know what you think. Obviously, this week, the next review coming out, hopefully, will be Scream 7. I'm going on Friday night. Fingers crossed everything goes to plan. Babysit, etc. And I can go and watch Scream 7 on Friday, and I should have a review for you Friday night. I'm going to try and do it that night, depending on what time I get to the cinema. So let's hope it's good. I mean, I've never seen a bad Scream movie. The third one's not my favourite, but none of them are bad. It's probably the only franchise ever to exist where they don't have a bad one. But anyway, guys, again, Cold Storage, let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if you're going to see it, and let me know if this review has helped you get there. And if you like me a lot, follow me on Facebook or subscribe to me on YouTube, whatever one you're watching on right now. See you later, guys. Have a great time. Bye.